8:50, 10 before 9 o'clock because of what appears to be some sort of an explosion at the World Trade Center. 8:54 on the WOR morning show, and the latest update is we're getting reports that a plane may have crashed into the World Trade Center.
Oh my God, Ed, another plane just hit the World Trade Center.
September 11th, 2001. To some, this is just another day, but to many, it is one that will stay in their mind forever.
On September 11th, 2001, I went to work like a normal day. I was on the second floor of a building running a circular saw. We were building an old folks home, and my saw quit, and I tried to figure out what was wrong with my saw, and the next thing I know, I heard my boss come running up the stairs with the radio, and he said, "Everybody stop working." And so we did, and we sat in a circle and just listened to everything that was going on the radio. And we're seeing lots of air traffic above us because we were so close to Selfridge Air Base, and we were all kind of nervous and scared a little bit, not knowing what was really going on. But the boss just said, "You know what, everybody go home." In between lunchtime and going home, I was also on the phone a lot, calling then my girlfriend, which is now my wife, and seeing if she was okay and what was going on where she was, because she was on the other side of the state at college. And we talked a few times, but then the phones kind of quit working, and I ended up just going home, and it's just something that we'll never forget, and I'll always remember who I was with and where I was.
I was supposed to go across the state, Grand Rapids, to testify in a court case, but it was canceled. So I was home watching the Today Show, and I saw the first plane go into one of the towers, and nobody knew what was happening. Everybody thought it was an accident. So then we all kept watching because it was such a big deal. And then pretty soon it became evident that it was an attack. And then pretty much we were all glued to our TVs for a long time. It seemed like a few weeks. I remember thinking how scared I was.
Hello, my name is Connie Gilman, and I totally remember where I was the day of 9/11. I was at work, and one of the employees at work came running in and said, "We're being attacked, we're being attacked." I remember my heart just dropping. The emotions are flooding in right now. My kids were all at school, and my first thought was, I've got to get my kids. I've got to get my kids. I got in the car and I went to school, but they wouldn't release the kids. They say your family's the most important thing in your life, and that definitely was my first thought, was my kids, and I wanted them to be safe, and I wanted them close to me. And like I said earlier, the school wouldn't release them, and I understand now, but then it was very frustrating because I wanted to know that they were okay. I remember seeing even people jumping out of the buildings. It was horrifying. My thoughts every year at 9/11 are for the families of those who have lost their family members, and what devastation our country went through then. So it was a very, very scary day, and a day that I'll never forget.
So on 9/11, I would have been 13 years old in 8th grade, and I was actually at my grandma's house sitting on her couch. It was fairly early in the morning, and I remember getting a phone call, which was from my sister Jeannie, and I remember what she said. She said, "America is under attack," and I'm like, you know, how do you take that? Early in the morning, kind of still not, kind of out of it, and you get this comment that says America's under attack. You know, I think like the first thing that came to my mind was, like, oh, you think of like a military, an army, like invading our country and coming onto our soil. But she's like, no, turn on the TV. So I turned on the TV, and that's when I started seeing footage of the planes flying into the towers. And at that point, it still wasn't really sure, just kind of confused as to what was really going on. Obviously, over the next few hours and days, as we watched more footage, start understanding what all is taking place. But I just remember being at that age, not fully understanding what was taking place. And it was just a confusing time and kind of a concerning time, and not really understanding what could be next. I would say the days after the attacks, it was really cool to see how the country responded, and it was probably the most unity I've seen within our country in my lifetime. So where neighbors and communities came together and people were supporting one another, and then, churches were just packed and people were coming together and having prayer ceremonies, and just the community, how they came together and how we unified as a country. It was just a really cool experience to see something like that come out of such a tragic moment during our country.
It was a medium-sized, unbelievable. It would look like, oh my God.
It just really gave you a weird feeling like, we're under attack. This is terrorism. It was a strange day for sure.
I was quite young when 9/11 happened. I was in kindergarten, and I was in my technology class. And I remember my teacher had us sitting on the floor, and one of the other teachers comes rushing in, very worried and concerned, and tells him, just turn on the TV. Doesn't even say what's happening, just turn on the TV right now. At such a young age, it was hard to interpret what was going on. Basically, all I could really gauge what the feelings that I got from the adults that was just emanating off of them. There was so much fear and just uncertainty, and that was something very strange to come from my teachers and my parents, because that wasn't something they ever showed to us. They had, at that time, the first tower had gone down, and so at that time they had got the cameras rolling and everything, and we were able to see the second tower actually get crashed into and go down, and it was a lot. It was very interesting just to see that happen, to experience that, and have no idea what was happening, but know that it was not good. It was definitely something that just settled in my heart, and I will not forget that for my life.
There was some people who snuck on a plane, and they ended up flying to New York and made the planes crash into the Twin Towers. And one happened, and then a few minutes later the other one happened. From what I've seen, they jumped out of the windows, and they were just trying to get away as fast as they could. And then just the whole top of the building just dropped.
Kind of like sad for certain people, and how they must have felt when they got like a phone call that, even if you didn't have anybody in the Twin Towers or in the planes, just like how they may have felt like, oh, well, this was an important part of my life, well, now it's gone. Like I talked to them yesterday. Well, where are they now?